years of the sweat and tears by these people. That was this is in 1850s, right? This is the Malay village that was in the city, right? And if you look at the greeneries, you don't even see this anymore in Kuala Lumpur. This is basically Sungai Gombak. You see all the buildings at the waterfront, and the changes is tremendous. The natural growth that we have cut off and we have taken up from the ground is basically significant. Alright, and how much if you look at the people, they are so depending on the river as part of their life sources, for the food, transportation, and the agriculture. Okay, and then we go to 1880s. The city started to grow. The vicinity started to grow, and what happened during this period? Oh, then we see lots of houses where lots of people started to immigrate to urban area. And at this time, the government is basically launching rural migrant. That was starting from 1970s. The Selangor state launched this rural urban migration to Kuala Lumpur, because at that time we don't have balanced community, because Kuala Lumpur was basically at that time populated by the Chinese community only. So now they're bringing people from the village to come to Kuala Lumpur. And now you see there are lots of houses started to grow, started to mushrooming in Kuala Lumpur, right? Okay, you see lots of houses as compared to a few years back, few decades back. Okay, and now let's go to 1900. You see, the vicinity started to grow and there's no boundary for it. You can grow as much as you want. Okay, there you are. This is 1909 Kuala Lumpur, the first Masjid Jamek in Kuala Lumpur. And you can still see the Masjid Jamek now. And this is one of the important points for the current development that we call River of Life development under Greater Kuala Lumpur program. So the River of Life basically project which we have now basically started from this Masjid Jamek. But then again, I would like to share with you, because I was one of the jury invited for this project. This is an international competition, and the one received awarded as a master planner for this project is AECOM, and AECOM is an international company based in United States. So in one of the discussion, I saw the drawings that adjacent of this Masjid Jamek, there was actually Bangunan Sultan Salahuddin, one of the important building which I will show you later. And the waterfront that is adjacent to this Masjid Jamek in the beginning was planned for fine dining. You see, this is a mosque. And the adjacent activities along the waterfront overlooking the mosque was planned to be a fine dining area. And I talked to the personnel in Kuala Lumpur Municipal City. I said, you see, if you're planning for fine dining adjacent to the mosque, and you know what do we serve in fine dining? We serve steak, right? Whether it's wagyu or whatever meat or lamb steak, I don't care. And what is the best partner for steak? It's always beer, right? So, would you dare to see people drinking beer in front of your mosque? Right? I'm sorry. This is about reality, because Muslim cannot take alcohol. So we have to respect. This is about respecting the locals, understanding our culture. If you come into other people's country and you don't understand the culture, that's the reason why you can bring so many things to the country without limitation. And this is what's happening now. So we need our people to stand, to talk to them, to advise them, not just let them dictate what they want us to be like what they are. Because if they want to dictate us, just go back to your country and do whatever you want. This is our country, we pay the taxes and we have the right what we want to have along the river. But we need to have very strong community. But if let's say we gave this only to our younger people who don't really care about development. I only care about my river to be clean and I want to use them. But what is the design that is suitable behind that development? So we are the people, we are the one that is responsible for our city development. Okay? Okay, this is Dataran Merdeka. Okay? One of the English clubhouse, the earliest English clubhouse in Kuala Lumpur at Dataran Merdeka. This is bangunan Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Samad, which is adjacent to Masjid Jamek just now, yeah. Okay, so that was built in 1897. And when I was in Sri Lanka, Naeem, have you been to Sri Lanka? So you can see the same building in Sri Lanka.
I didn't see.
Yes, that was in Colombo. I've been to Colombo and I see the same architectural characteristic in Colombo, similar to bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad, because this building was built by British. Okay, so it's like the iconic building. Whenever they go, they will build this kind of building characteristics. So what is so much about our cultural identity? We are being dictated for so much, and do we want to go on like this forever? Let us ask ourselves. Okay. And then this is again another corner of bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad. Some of the pictures we managed to get, yeah, because we don't have much of the pictures for our city. And this is Petaling Street before, right? And if you look at the buildings, the facades and whatnot, it is so much representing the Chinese community. And this is one of the economic area for the people. And look at this one, the beca, look at the transportation system, look at the people. It is so much into Asian flavor, right? Okay, now 1950s, you see, look at the growth, you see. This is in 1950s and I didn't put what happened in 2016. We don't know, because we were talking about culture and heritage route. That will be in our next presentation. Please wait, and we see how much the broadway has gone and how much the greediness has been taken up by the people, right? So in 1950s, now you see the changes. Where are the plants adjacent to the river just now? It has been changed into these characteristics. I am not against development, definitely, but where are the greens? I'm so envy with the greens. I want the green. I don't care how much buildings, how much bricks you bring in, but why do you take out my green area? Why didn't you replace it back in your development? So you are basically curi something from us, you know. So you have to pay back to landscape architects. So ni arkitek Zaki ni macam mana ni dok, hati-hati lebih dok pagi ni kan, biasa pagi Jumaat, minta maaf lah ya. Okay, so now this is the mosque Kuala Lumpur, alright, the Masjid Jamek just now, and this is Sultan bangunan Sultan Abdul Salam pula, Sultan Salahuddin. Okay, this is Masjid Jamek, and remember about the fine dining in the new project, latest project, which is River of Life. It is supposed to be here along the river, and even with that, if you look at the edges of the river, it is very natural. Yeah, and if you have time this weekend, it's a long weekend, go and see what is the characteristic of our river edges today. No more greens, yeah? It's totally hard concrete. Alright? Okay, and again, so if you look at the river, it is beautiful. And now, did you know that the government of Malaysia has to pay 3.5 billion, this is not about million, billion, to recreate this kind of ambience. You see, you are paying money, you are giving money, spending money unnecessarily. If you are doing the preservation, if you understand the root of our culture from the beginning of the development, 3.5 billion. Okay? Just because we want to recreate this kind of ambience. But it's okay, at least they're aware and they want to spend money. It's okay then, alright? But supposedly we don't have to pay that much because this is our space and it used to be like this before, okay? This is Dataran Merdeka. We're facing our bangunan Sultan Salahuddin. And okay, if we go back to these images, if you look at the British occupancy, whenever they come to any countries in the world, the first thing that they will do is the field and the biggest open field as possible. So Dataran Merdeka is one of them. Because the English people, they like to do sports, recreation, and they play cricket. Yeah, so they need a place for them to play cricket. And at the same time, this is the place that the government officers, the English soldiers officers do the marching and receive everyday order and whatnot. So, and at the same time, they use this place as the social gathering. But sadly, when it comes to what happened today, you can't really go into the field without any reason. You can't take your children to just run around without any reason. You can't go, if you want to go, you can take photos just around the edge of the padang, but not to go to the padang, to the field. So what padang is for then? Right? So only to be seen, only because it is part of the 10% of the green areas of the city, because people don't want to maintain. But maintaining field, that means you are maintaining your people's health, because when people go to the open field, they are basically doing recreation, and they can reduce some of their percentage of their cancers, right? Their tense and the stress and whatnot. So you don't want to do that. So is this the right city for people? Ask ourselves, right? And this was the city before, with the cars, polite, and then this time Kuala Lumpur has started to bloom. So this was in 1950s. I see people with bicycle, and now we are paying money just to do bicycle lane. And no one, you don't really see, you can hardly see people on bicycle, even though there are about 2 to 3 kilometers of bicycle lane. But it used to be our lifestyle. You see, what we are creating today is actually bringing back our tradition, our lifestyles into what we used to be before. But it might not be experienced by ourselves, but go back and ask your grandparents and whatnot, what life is all about in 1950s, 1960s. And sad to say that we have to pay money just to bring back our nature, just to bring back our lifestyle. Because these are all the principles of healthy lifestyles. Yeah? Okay, people are walking around, cycling with less of transportation, yeah, because they have modes, they have alternatives for transportation, yeah? Because they like to walk more than. Okay, then you see this is Old Market Square. Nampak tak? Yeah, Old Market Square. You see the characteristics, and if we talk about urban design with this green island, it has been there before. It is just that we are the one who scraped them out. Yeah? If you look at the architecture, yeah, look at the people that is going around. So I believe it is not. When we talk about culture and heritage, it is not totally bringing back what we used to have, but the soul of the space. We're talking about the soul of the space and the origin of the space. So at least when people come, or when our young children going to this place, they got to know what this place was like before. Yeah. So they got to know what was the mode of transportation. So what do people do in this place? So these are some of the education that we can do through our built environmental design. Alright. So you see, there are a lot more cars. Yeah, with economic activities, and you see some of the bicycle. Okay, we have this recycling. Now we call it recycling bin. But last time it is not. Yes, but this is the character of the city. Okay, so 1960s, after our independent in 1957, so we see rapid development. Yeah, so the growth of the city in deal with the natural landform. In the beginning, city deals with the natural landforms, but time after time, we can't really deal so much with natural landform. The greediness came in, and they're gone. Kuala Lumpur is a flat city, and now we are facing with flash floods and whatnot, because it's flat. We don't have natural landform anymore. Yeah, okay. And the City Hall Kuala Lumpur state more recently buildings like the KL Tower, Petronas, Twin Towers, and KLCC provide images of a city that is thoroughly modern while firmly in touch with its cultural roots. Okay, now the image of Kuala Lumpur is no more Masjid Jami, is no more bangunan Sultan Salahuddin. People come to Kuala Lumpur because they want to go to KLCC. Yeah, people has it's a must to go to, if you come to Kuala Lumpur, to take photo in front of KLCC selfie, right? But if you take photo in Bangunan Sultan Salahuddin or Masjid Jami, it's not Kuala Lumpur. So that is the image that we are having now, yeah? Transforming from the heritage values that we have, which is supposed to be the pride of our nation, by changing it to KLCC. I'm not saying I'm against KLCC, not again, but then if we have both, if we are balanced, we cherish KLCC as much as we cherish our old heritage building, why don't we do so? Having balance, yeah? Okay? And it causes the historic image of a city slowly fading in competition with modernization, alright? But now, statistic of tourism shows that people pay more, people willing to pay just to go back to the tradition. Yeah, if you go to Indonesia, for example, we call it everyday lifestyle. In one of the area where people live, so does in Bangkok, in Thailand, because there is a community who live next to the railway rails. Yeah, when they do some open markets, whenever the train passes by, they will just drop the canopy, and then the train will pass by, and after that they will pick up back the canopy, and the economy or this business started to happen again. And that place was ranked as one of the best tourism spot in the world at the moment, because people don't want to see fake things anymore. People want to see the real thing. They don't go to the museum and see things that has been what we call it, just show it in picture. They want to feel the space. They want to see the people. They want to touch the culture. They want to taste the food. They want to hear the sound of the sound of the people. Yeah, okay. All right. Then you see, this is Bangunan Sultan Salahuddin once again. This used to be in KL before the Panit is Bank Negara. So you see, we already have highways that was in the 1970s. Okay, this is the building and the character. Okay, this is a picture. Sorry, this is the people. The nampak. And Kuala Lumpur Historic City Centre is now district as a place that show integration of historic and important buildings. So Kuala Lumpur City Council has basically aware about the importance of culture, and now they dedicated certain zones in Kuala Lumpur as Kuala Lumpur. This is Lumpur, Kuala Lumpur Historic City Centre, KLHCC. It's considered as a historic district of Kuala Lumpur. So they noted the area as a cultural heritage attraction district in Kuala Lumpur Structure Plan 2020. This was when a questionnaire or research made by researchers found out that some of the tourists, especially from the European countries, they come to visit these cultural and heritage areas of Malaysia. Yeah. So in tourism, there are people, for example, the Asian countries, they like to go to KLCC because they want to see modernization. But for these developed countries, if they come to other places or to any places in the world, they would like to go to a place that has significant or strong historical values. From then on, then Malaysia realized the importance of cultural heritage preservation, because it is basically influenced the rate of tourism revenue for our country. Okay, so I don't have to go through this in detail. And now this is our Dataran Square, Dataran Merdeka, ya, Merdeka Square. Oops. Semula, ya, okay. So, salah tekan, minta maaf. Oh no, okay. Dataran Merdeka, cricket greenfield has been surrounded by over 10 historic important buildings since the 1880s to 1930s. Yeah, the square itself belonged to Royal Selangor Club Padang. This is Selangor Club.